Welcome back to the Three Benchwarmers Podcast, where we discuss all things Detroit sports. Another big week in Detroit with the Red Wings coming back, as long as the Pistons starting their play after the All-Star break, as well as the Tigers starting spring training. So a lot of new things in the world of sports this week. I guess we can start with the Red Wings. Mark.
Yeah, it was a great game against the Capitals. They started off sloppy early, and even throughout the game, they just allowed far too many shots against. But, Brady Kachuk really didn't want to play that game. Sat out for like 10 minutes because he just kept chirping Edvinson, who was low key just rage baiting him the whole time. So, you know what? I will take Edvinson for Brady Kachuk any time. That is a trade I am willing to take. And you know what? It worked out in the not in the Caps' favor. I'm so sorry. In the Red Wings' favor, they were able to bring the game to overtime, and 3-on-3, they're one of the best in the NHL. So they were able to score their goal and claim victory in what should have maybe not been a win.
Yeah, I mean, 3v3. A player called Dylan Larkin is very good at that. He was on the ice not too long ago on a very important 3v3 where another American team beat another Canadian team. And speaking of Dylan Larkin, he scored 2 goals that game. We saw the same sort of thing we saw from him in the Olympics, which is amazing because before the Olympics, we were talking about how some players, like, I mean, the players that went to the Olympics, like Sider, Raymond, and Larkin, all need to sort of have a refresher, maybe get a boost from the tournament. And it seems like, at least for that first game, that was the case. Larkin, obviously, with to the 2 assists, particularly that last pass, which he gave to Larkin in overtime. What a beauty. I mean, perfect touch. And that sort of was representative of how he played at the Olympics. He, I think, was second in the Olympics in assists with 8, I believe it was, or 7. It
And he
was
was sixth in
regardless.
ice
He was
time
one of the
too. Like he
leaders.
was just out there making the impact. And to add on to your point, that first goal, it was Sider and Raymond assisting Larkin. So it was literally all three guys from the Olympics coming in, continuing, their form and just helping the team win a game. So
Right, right. But like it was couldn't have been more representative of how they played at the Olympics. I mean, Larkin put the team on his back. He was very good on the forecheck. He was winning the face-offs like he did at the Olympics, and obviously being a very good finisher in terms of having the chances that he got and then being able to put them away. Because there weren't that many in that game, if I remember correctly. It was quite a while ago already. So just and hopefully, the way that Raymond played in that game, the way that Larkin played, the way that Sider played continues. We didn't really see it too much tonight, or not tonight, last night. However, Hurricanes are pretty good, so I wouldn't be too worried about that. And we really need to see especially from Dylan Larkin as the captain. I mean, he's been talking a lot about the team beyond just how they play on ice, in particular with Stevie Yzerman and his moves that he has to make, I believe, during right before the trade deadline hits, which is coming up soon, I believe, in the next week or so. So um, he really needs to back that up if he really wants to lead the team and talk the way he does and make the points that he does beyond what he does on the ice. So.
yeah, I also misspoke a little bit. They did not play the Capitals. They definitely played the Senators this week.
Right.
So yeah, my apologies. Ottawa's the capital of Canada, so I got confused. Anyways, amateur mistake. Game they did not play well against a team that I know they played was the Hurricanes, where it was another third period collapse, which was kind of remedied, or they were starting to do the opposite of what they usually do in the third period, and come back, and then just it was 2-3 at some point, and then they just decided, yeah, we don't want it, y'all got it, this is all yours. So I mean, just wasn't the best defensive performance in general. These last two games just kind of show that maybe there's a defensive gap, something that could be addressed at the trade deadline. Get another veteran defender, help out the second line, help out the third line, and just, stabilize the back so the front can continue doing what they're doing without having to go back and kind of help out the defenders as much as they do. Because as you said before, Larkin's pretty good at playing defense from the position that he is, but it's not something that he should be tasked with on a regular basis. You'd want him to stay in position to score the goals, and if he has to go back, he's tired, has to come off the ice, and you know he summoned for Patrick Kane, which isn't horrendous, but you'd rather have Dylan Larkin at this point in his career than Patrick Kane on the ice. So
I don't think it's Patrick Kane because Patrick Kane plays the right wing, but I yeah, same
like
point.
an attacker off the bench.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a key point is that Ben Sherratt, out of all players, led the team in minutes yesterday. So if that doesn't go to show like what the Red Wings need to get acquired before the trade deadline, I don't know what else is a good example. Edvinson, obviously coming off his injury. I mean, he had that moment against Kachuk, right? But beyond that, he really hasn't impressed at all. Which give him the benefit of the doubt, I guess, but definitely not the same player. At least it felt like these two games that he was before the Olympics, before he got injured with on that same line with Sider. Again, it's quite early. Well, it isn't quite early because the playoffs are coming up. These are all important games, but it feels like it would be healthy to give them at least after the trade deadline to, give them some leniency right now to see how they can sort of bounce back after this game in particular, and how they can play in a string of games and really secure that not even wild card spot. They're in a
I think
pretty
they're
comfortable
in the top
position
three right
regarding the
now.
wild
I think
card.
they're definitely out of the wild
Yeah,
card.
but that guaranteed top three spot in their division. Hopefully, I mean, they're what, like 3 games or 6 points, something around that, above that wild card spot. So if they were to have to fight for it, so they're not in the worst position, but they're definitely in a worse position than they were a month ago. So hopefully they can get back to that form that they had. And another point I'd like to make, who didn't play yesterday?
Who did it?
John Gibson. He was sitting for on the bench for Cam Talbot. Uh, and
There's only so much you can
I
do.
know
I mean,
Mark,
John
you like
Gibson
John
kind of
Gibson.
single-handedly also kept them in that Senators game as well. I could go on about this man. I don't know what type of career resurgence he's just decided to have. Maybe he was a little off before the Olympics, but coming back now, back to that early January form we saw, back to the guy who could literally just save any shot. It's just incredible what he does in front of net. There was so many times, like, again, I said the Senators had so many more shots than the Red Wings. And I don't know if, like, they also had an open shot on net and they just aired it wide. I don't know if literally John Gibson's aura just said, not like aura defense, pushed it away from the net. But this man is just, like, get him some help on defense. And that's what I think is so rough right now, is the trade deadline is coming at a point where we don't know what Edvinson will look like. Hopefully he gets back to that point he was, like that good defender. But if I'm the Red Wings right now, I'm in a good spot to make the playoffs. I'm in a good spot to be a top 3 out of the wild card. Make a move, even if it's minor. Get some more defensive depth. It can't hurt right now. As you said, like, Ben Sherrod is getting the most minutes. Or he did at least last game. And I know Mo Sider's been getting the most minutes before the Olympics because of that Edvinson injury. Get some more help on the defense and just try to make a push. What's the worst that can happen? Right? Like, it doesn't even have to be like a star defender. Just get someone to help this defensive line.
And I guess the question to ask then is, who would you give up?
They just as I like before the Olympic break, they signed Ben Sherratt to a pretty team. It kind of makes no sense to give up Ben Sherratt for another defender. But if they had to give someone up, his contract is pretty tradable. He's kind of on the older side. You get someone else to come in and play more quality minutes in his place. You can maybe even move Edvinson to the second line if find a trading partner, and you're better off for the playoffs, because depth is where it
Yeah,
really
I mean,
matters in these late stages of the year.
I don't know. I've seen a lot of people because this day and age in the NHL, you can't just give up a contract like Ben Sherratt's to get anybody because no one's gonna want that. I've seen people say that they want to give up players like Sandine Pellica, Appleton, even Edvinson on it. I've heard some takes regarding that. I know a key target was Austin Matthews
Mm,
from the Maple
I
Leafs,
don't think so.
given his situation that he's facing there. I don't think the Red Wings want that
I don't
contract.
think
I
they
don't think
need him
Stevie's gonna
either.
want.
I don't think they need him either. I'm
Yeah, I
not
don't
saying it
think.
would be bad to have him. Like, of course, I'd want Austin Matthews, but
Yeah.
we already paying, Raymond and Larkin, the top two on your
Oh
on
yeah,
your.
I believe Raymond was also mentioned in trade talks. So I guess what I want to see is who are we willing to not or who are we not going to give up? Who aren't we willing to give up? Like who are the pieces that need to stay? Because I mean this has been a conversation in every single sport in Detroit with the Lions and the Pistons and even the Tigers. Like, who do we not want? Who do we need to keep on the team regardless of like what player? If we can get Connor McDavid, let's say if there's a possibility to get him, same way that Pistons had a possibility to get Giannis. Who and what are we not giving up?
There's only, in my eyes, one untouchable on this roster, or at least the offer has to be like perfect, and that's Mo Sider. If the right offer comes along for Dylan Larkin, Lucas Raymond, DeBrincat, hopefully the GM is good enough to evaluate the talent he's getting back for those guys. As you said, if Austin Matthews were to come back for Lucas Raymond, it's not a horrendous deal. But if I'm the GM, I need help in the defense anyway. Mo Sider is just been awesome this entire year. You have to keep him. You have to keep him, I would think. He's still young, still has plenty of time to get even better than he is now. So I think that's one guy I would like. You'd have to have like a brilliant offer.
I mean I really don't know because it's a little different in hockey. You need more players. This like it's not basketball where you only need like eight guys in a rotation to be successful. You need at least like 15 decent enough players that can obviously three lines. Like I don't think you can give up a Raymond. I don't think you can give up a Larkin. Like
It
those
all
players are
depends what you're getting
especially
back.
Larkin.
I'm saying if like
No, no, really, like even if we were to get Connor McDavid's, and this is not never going to happen because of his contract and everything else, but any sort of star player in the league, if if we were able to get him, right, for like an equal price,
it would
like
cost like
what would be
Larkin
considered equal
picks and
price.
then probably a few prospects or
Larkin,
even
you'd have to
more.
give up Larkin, Raymond, Edvinson, and picks for someone like Connor McDavid.
For the
That would
best
make the
player in the
team
league is
worse.
not,
That would make the team worse. Would it not?
well, Connor McDavid's really
Especially, I
good,
mean,
but I
Austin,
guess you'd
you were
rather
talking to
have
me.
the
You were talking
two.
to me Austin was talking to me the other day about Connor McDavid. I don't know
Yeah.
if you want to.
I
Yeah,
was just saying Connor McDavid is never gonna be a winner at anything. He always falls short, and I really don't see a chance for that to improve. I mean, if he swallows up a huge contract, and even if he got traded for all that to the Red Wings, I don't think they would have a chance of winning the Stanley Cup. So whether it's the Olympics or the Stanley Cup, I mean, sure he was shorthanded on the Oilers, but for being that high of a prospect and player, you'd think he could get it done. But that's just my take. So.
2 straight years, and he could not get it done in the Stanley Cup Finals. Right. I guess moving on off of that. Oh, I know next. Yes, I'll end it with next week. We'll see what happens. Um, with what moves they make. And we'll talk about that once they happen, or maybe during the week if something crazy happens, we might make a short clip on it. So hopefully Stevie can make a and with the advice of Larkin, obviously, because whatever's been going on with them, can make some good decisions regarding our team and actually push it on towards making our first playoffs since Larkin's rookie year. You'd be surprised to,
Have they made the
believe that
playoffs
he's
since they
only
made it to LCA or in their very first year and then not since?
they no, they have not at all.
So their
I don't
first
see it.
playoff in LCA,
Uh,
to put it lightly. So that'd be what,
yep,
2016?
no, 18, I believe.
18.
18
Yeah.
or 17, right? Yeah, it's been a while. Like I said, Larkin's rookie year was the only year he played in the playoffs. ever. Which is why people are doubting his ability to play in the
Yeah,
Olympics.
but he
Prove
went in the
everybody
Olympics and he
wrong.
played his heart out. Like he probably the best player and like most efficient player with his ice time. So no
He
complaints.
looked so much happier on Team USA than he does for the Red Wings too. I'll just put that point out there because I think that's quite important um, as a representation of the team's status. Anyways, moving on from all that trade talk, um, Tigers had spring training this week. Obviously, as any team in baseball, spring training isn't, I wouldn't say, a great indicator of the quality of the team. I mean, we didn't see for a Fromber pitch. We haven't seen Verlander pitch yet, due to their own reasons. But we saw a couple newer players, uh, prospects from the minor leagues come up, and particularly players like McGonagall and those type of whatever. I mean, there's been a lot actually, but particularly McGonagall, we've seen those players actually impressed, quite honestly. I mean, Max Clark had his game where he dropped two routine fly balls. It was a pretty big story in MLB. But what do you guys think about this first week? Any impressions?
Yeah, it's just,
Yeah, no,
it's hard to judge a team based off, especially the first week of spring training. As you get more and more into it, you see, okay, they start playing more of the roster guys and they start to, find out who's really MLB capable or who needs to go back to triple, double A. So these early weeks, it's, kind of playing everyone, see what you're about, see what your deal is, see how you mesh with everyone else. It's just kind of viewing the board in what you have. I know the Tigers are up there in their farm system, so it's just, are they still number one or are they? I know they're up there at the very least, but they it's again like an opportunity to show all these prospects against in a no stake situation against good pitching talent that they won't see in the minors. So give them a chance, see what happens,
yeah,
and so far we're seeing what's happened. Tarek Skubal, he pitched yesterday. He didn't look the best. He only had 3 innings. But again, it's still early in the year, still getting back to form. Hopefully, we see the best version of Tarek Skubal.
yeah, yeah. It was just like
The
even when they played the
WBC at least.
yeah, even when they played the Yankees, it was like just one pitcher every single inning. So, or maybe even just one out, to be honest. So it's just really hard to tell. I mean, we'll see in a couple weeks here when the season actually starts. But I mean, at least having some of the pitchers pitch, today against the Blue Jays was a bit promising, but it's still not their best performance. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, in the next coming weeks, we'll really get a chance to talk about what we want to see their lineup be. Um, Probably relatively soon. I mean, the season's not too long away from starting, so we'll really, be looking for spring training. Especially, like I said, I really want to stress the Kevin McGonigal point. He's been crushing it. I mean, he was definitely expected to do pretty well. People were talking about him last year, but there are conversations of him starting instead of moving Javi out to center field and instead of Parker Meadows and starting him at shortstop. So there, the fact that those conversations are being held shows that he has a possibility to really make an impact, not just this year, but in the future for the Tigers. I mean, who knows? He's been playing really well. So, and obviously his stock as a prospect has been really high.
Yeah, the Tigers, they're bringing in mostly the same batting lineup as last year. So if you can find someone who can come in and give you, because if pitchers, they see the stats from last year, they're able to adjust for that. You add a guy or two in there to, maybe throw them off. It makes it easier to, rotate in guys, give a guy a rest. So that too. All right. That's enough Tigers talk for today. Next week we'll get more into it with as spring training goes on, and we'll look further into everything. But we will head to the college realm where Michigan and MSU played their games. And I'd like to start with MSU this week. where they had, I think, their statement win of the year so far against Purdue in what should have been, I think what was really impressive to me in this game for MSU, they were down early, they come into Mackey, they're getting yelled at, they're playing really poorly, and they're able to come back, they were down 12 early, come back, and then sustain a close game the whole time, and they were able to close it out. So I think that's the most impressive part of this team. But also on Purdue's end, they've been very, we said this before last week, they've been shaky at home, and we said that this could potentially be an upset. So how surprised are you that this actually happened? Because we thought there was a possibility, but realistically,
Yeah.
what did we think?
I mean,
And
I'm not.
Purdue just lost today to Ohio State. So if that doesn't say something about their team,
At home or away?
But yeah, Austin, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, they lost away. They've been like they started 17-1 and now they're what 5-6 since then. And it's like I didn't watch the entire game, but like there's obviously locker room issues and lineup issues, and it's just when they don't have Oscar Clough on the court, even against MSU, like their other centers are just horrible. And there's obviously something going on. I don't know if they're waiting till March, which is not a good idea, but I don't know about Purdue. I mean, they've lost 4 games at home, and I don't think they've beat Ohio State in the last 3 tries. So
Now, is this
just
even a hot take? Like, when I see Purdue in my March Madness bracket, even when they had Zach Edey, I always thought they were a little fraudulent. Like, I wasn't entirely surprised when they lost to Fairleigh Dickinson that year. Maybe at the 16 seed was a little
Okay, Mark.
crazy, but I knew they would end up, 16 seed is nuts. I knew they would be kind of an early exit. They just always seemed like, okay, at least in those days, you slow down Zach Edey, who, is just a monster. Like, even in the NBA now, he's doing his thing. And you were able to kind of mitigate the whole team's offense. Now, there's not even Zach Edey. You stop Braden Smith. You stop, what's his face? Lawyer has been playing like absolute garbage recently. And then Trey Kaufman-Renn has to pick up the mess. So it's kind of, a dysfunctional Purdue team right now. I know Braden Smith just got his 1,000th assist, but even when you look at Purdue throughout history under Mark Painter, that they haven't been a team that makes it deep into March. I know they had one year where they made it deep, but again, they didn't win it with the college basketball player of the year in Zach Edey. So
Yeah, no, I don't, Mark. I don't know. What you were saying about Edie, I think that it's quite the opposite. In order to stop Purdue, you need to stop all their guards and their 3-point shooting, and let the center do his own thing. And if he's gonna score 30, he's gonna score 30. But at least Braden Smith is not gonna drop 8 threes on your head. Um, that's the way teams have played Purdue in the last couple of years, and it's worked. Painter again this year wanted to continue the whole center dominance with TKR, and then obviously their backups and Oscar Clough and Jacobson, and teams have just found a way to expose that as they have in the past couple of years. Purdue is by far the most fraudulent team in the Big Ten. It's not even close.
here's the thing. I knew they were fraudulent when Oakland was up against them at half, and was in the whole game against them. Like, there was a genuine opportunity for Purdue to lose that game. Which, here's the thing, Oakland is a fine enough team, against the top teams. They lost to Michigan by 50. They were never in the game against Houston, and they even lost to Eastern Michigan later in the year. I think it was in a close game, but these are teams that Purdue would. No, I'm not saying they would struggle against Eastern Michigan, but I'm showing the level of Oakland is nowhere near the level of these other teams that they'll see in March. So at that point is when I knew that there might be something up with the Purdue team.
yeah, I have no idea. I mean, they beat Texas Tech by 30 earlier in the season, so it's
That's
almost like they
not.
just flipped the switch at some point. So I
They
don't.
also
This is a very
lost to
confusing
Iowa
season.
State by 30 earlier in the season, so
Yeah, well,
what
Iowa
do I
State is
know?
still up there. Iowa State is still a good team. They'll probably be
They're
a.
good, but they also losing by 30 at home is quite bad, especially given the like the advantage they get there every single season at
I think they've been
Mackey.
really
So
bad at home. Like that Oakland game was at home.
they have been
Was that
horrible.
Texas
They
Tech game
lost.
on the road? Because if it was, it would
It was in the
explain.
Bahamas, I think. Yeah, so
So
neutral.
maybe here's the thing.
But
Oakland's
they
going through a
lost
similar
to
thing.
MSU.
Continue. Continue. I'll get to my point.
Yeah, no, they lost to MSU, Illinois, and Michigan and Iowa State all at home this year. So I mean, you can say what you want about Matt Painter and the players he gets. I mean, he has two players that were first preseason first team All-Americans, or at least in the consideration of being preseason first team All-Americans. He has had at least one preseason All-American the last, what, 5 years at this point? I think 5 seasons, up at least up until COVID. And he one season he got to the final and got absolutely demolished by Donovan Clingan. So I don't know if it's the players to blame. The fact that they're having locker room issues like they are, and just incompetent on both sides of the ball, it seems like at points. There's only one guy to blame, and
And it's the common
we're
factor
I know
between all these
soon.
teams. I agree with you. I'm not saying Mark Painter is bad,
Yeah,
but maybe what he's doing in the
yeah.
locker room is just not what the players respond to. And, over the
I don't know.
last
He
five
has.
years, anyways, that's enough on Purdue. They also went and took care of business at Indiana. So that's, a good win for them. Indiana's, again, a team that can just get streaky. Tucker DeVries is, early in the year was just the most valuable guy in the Big Ten. So it's again, like, all of
Yeah,
these
Lamar.
all of these games are just losable. And to go out and beat this team comfortably is a good sign.
Yeah, Wilkerson was really keeping them in the game. I think he had 29 points. But either way, I just want to mention Carson Cooper, probably Izzo's best developmental job that I've ever seen. And he just keeps improving. And against Purdue, he had like 6 paint touches, and he scored 5 of them at least. And I was completely shocked because every time it goes up, it's usually short. But and then he posted Jacobson too. So there's that. And then this game, Kurtang, he went 6 for 8 from three. If he can actually come into form and Cam Ward can contribute also, then I think that brings them to a little bit higher of a level than they were before, with these recent struggles. But yeah, like Mark said, there's not really, too much negative to talk about this week because it was, they just took care of business. So,
As you said, Austin, I mean, recent Kurtang performances have been a little, here or there. If he can, come in, as Izzo said, he's not the best defender, but what they need is offense on this team. If he can continue to go, you know, shoot well from three, then he's doing his job. I think that's kind of his role. Play, serviceable defense while he's out there, but providing the offensive spark is something that this team needs on a consistent basis, and it's not something that he's been bringing totally.
A player that MSU would really need, or like a style of player that MSU would really need, someone like Namari Burnett.
The 3-and-D
And
guy.
I think someone that, yeah, can just pick and pop
Yeah,
and
that's Trey Ford.
not pick and pop, but I guess he does. He does come off of ball screens quite a lot. When you look at Michigan's offense, especially with that two guard lineup that they play at the start of games, because everyone is focused on the three bigs that Namari can sort of work his way around the top of the key and get wide open threes, as he's done a couple of times these past games. So, yeah, no, be having a player that can shoot threes, and even if that's his only job, like Namari Burnett is for Michigan, which we'll get to that. I think his role will have to expand, unfortunately. But someone like him that can just make threes on a decently enough, well, consistent enough basis, and that be his only role, and maybe bring up a couple of players out of the paint more so that, like Austin said, Cooper or Kohler can have a little more space to work with, would be very key. And we'll see if like Kurtang or any of these other role players on their team take that position and really grab that spot, because Izzo doesn't know who to start besides those two bigs and Jeremy Fears. Um,
I mean,
he's been
Jordan
trying to
Scott's
work
some of
with
them are
Scott.
getting
into that starting lineup, but the thing I've noticed is that
Mm.
once they take a step in from the 3-point line, that's they're just so much better than like literally. I don't know what it is. Like I've seen Izzo just drop design mid ranges for a few guys, and the guards are definitely more comfortable slashing even Jeremy Fears. That's
Yeah, even Carson Cooper, like he's been just shooting from like 1 foot inside of the three and making them, and then as soon as he steps out, he like airballs threes. So I don't know what's up with that. We saw that
Yeah.
last year too with a lot of the players on their team, and even the season before that. So I don't know what's up with
Yeah, I mean,
what he
I
teaches.
think some of them are like, some of these players are probably looking better because Jeremy Fears can get them the ball quite well. But I think they have a good opportunity, and I think if they could even just get another shooter or two, Jeremy Fears would just go to another level, even if that's possible. Yeah, he had 20 points again today. I think it was like 13th straight in double figures. But I think without him, obviously they'd be pretty bad. But allowing him to create, I think really it makes everybody else play better and look better. Like all the paint touches, everything. They started getting, Cohen Carr involved more too, which is probably a promising sign. Like having him pass it down to Cooper or something. So I don't know. I think they're playing a little bit better than they were a couple weeks ago, and that's probably a good sign because March starts today. So none of that really matters anymore. It's like a new season coming up here soon.
what Selection
It's
Sundays
gonna
in
be
two
really
weeks.
interesting to see. Yeah, it is.
This is
But
the
it's
crunch
gonna be
time.
really interesting to see how Jeremy Fears handles the raucous crowd in Chrysler in the next week. Um,
Just go to Michigan
I will be
basketball. I know you want to
contributing.
talk about it. Go to Michigan basketball.
No, 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 no. Let's just. I just want to say, Jeremy Fears is gonna be in the toughest environment he's been in next week, and we've seen his mental side crack a couple of times, especially when they have been underperforming. So when there's gonna be people, myself, that are gonna be, contributing to an atmosphere where he is the most hated player in the entire building, it's gonna be interesting to see how he reacts. Just
Yeah.
I mean, personally, that being there at that game is gonna be great, and I really want to see him just crumble. I want to see him disappear from the court. I want to see Izzo keep him on because he's his favorite player, and then even ruin the game even more. Hopefully, he won't injure anybody, but again, you never know with a player like that. So um,
Here's the thing, right?
I just want to
In
point it out. It's
in
going to
a
be interesting to see.
MSU, they had a tough environment at Mackey. He did crumble early. The whole team did. But his mental, I don't know what Izzo said.
Mackey doesn't.
What was that? You're saying it's not tough?
Dude, they lost every single game that they played against any competent team in the Mackey this season. I don't. It's
It's
not.
still a good
No.
atmosphere. And if we're comparing just atmosphere, I'm not talking about quality of team. Those fans are just as ruthless, if
No,
not more
bro, you
ruthless
don't
than the one.
understand the target. Jeremy Fears is gonna have a target on his back that day.
I'm sure he
Big
had
target.
I'm sure he had a target on his back in Mackey. And he was able to
No, no, it won't be
here's the point
comparable.
I'm
It will
trying to
not be
make.
comparable.
He started off slow. If Michigan can capitalize on that, because it's a common theme with teams like especially MSU in U of M. It's a common theme for them to start slow because they're nervous. There's so much going against them, and if Michigan can capitalize on that, they have every chance to win this game. But again, if they can quickly recover, they can definitely MSU. I mean, they can stay in the game. They showed that against Purdue, and just be able to, both teams. It's going to be, I think, more so than anything, it's going to be a big defensive matchup. And both of these teams were number one in KenPom at some point in defense. So I think it comes down to defense more than anything in this game. That's what I think.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean,
I
probably.
think Jeremy Fears was tough as nails recently, at least the last two road games. But we'll get to Michigan in a moment. But yeah, having Elliot Cadeau having to play 40 minutes, just because Trey McKinney's assist ratio is like the worst in the Big Ten. So I don't know if you'll be able to fill a point guard role. So it might be a little bit tough. But I guess we'll have a game
Last
before
time,
that to see.
Last time Elliot Cadeau played 35 minutes, it was against Michigan State, and he outperformed Jeremy Fears in every single category. So, well, not non-statistical category, but efficiency category. So it's going to be interesting to see how that
All right,
matchup
hold
lines
on.
up
Yeah,
as
but
well. And we can move on to Michigan basketball, I guess.
they're
I
also
have.
going to be they're also going to be one bad game away from losing. And Elliot Cadeau is the only point guard in some of these games. He has not performed well. That's all I'll say is that could
It's
really end their season early.
the only game that they've lost because of Elliot Cadeau having a bad game was against Duke, and it was only by 5 points. So
They also
Yeah,
I'll be
almost
okay.
they're
lost to
they're probably
Northwestern
going to
because he
see
was
him
having a bad
again.
game.
Oh yeah, if
Yeah,
I'm scared to
Cason
play Duke.
saved.
Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. If we play Duke, yeah, I say we start Trey McKenney over Elliot Cadeau. I've already made my point about him being a
Yeah,
sleeper agent
Trey
for Duke.
McKinney cannot play point guard based on his stats so far.
No, it's just been
He's
his
fi-
role. He's shown competency to play
he
the primary
has a
ball handler.
5% assist ratio. That is the worst in the Big Ten among guards. That's a
Again,
playmate. That's the direct
it's because
playmaking
of his
stat.
role that Dusty May gives him. Because
Yeah,
usually
he's
there's
more of
an
a
LJ
shooting guard.
Cason.
I feel
He
like
is
Yeah, I mean,
not a
he
point
also
guard. He's a
didn't really
shooting
play
guard.
that well against Duke or anything, so I guess we'll see. But
He has
here's what I
shown
wanted to
multiple
ask.
times that he can.
Here's what I wanted
Okay.
to ask. Michigan right now. You have Elliot Cadeau. Would you trade him for the production that Trey Donaldson gave you last year?
Yes.
Now, here's the thing. When I first, watched Michigan play, I saw number 3 with dreads. I'm like, all right, Trey Donaldson's back. Like, literally, I just forgot that he transferred. You see Cadeau on the back. I'm like, oh, okay. He was playing well. But Trey Donaldson last year, I mean, again, that team last year, they also had a lot of turnover problems. And again, Trey Donaldson was the primary ball handler. But in terms of consistency wise, you don't see there was definitely swings with Trey Donaldson, but he didn't swing games quite as much as Elliot Cadeau does in his performances, good or bad. But I think having Elliot Cadeau is not the main piece of this team. It runs through the three bigs. And who can get them the ball better? I would argue that Trey Donaldson, he shouldn't have gone to Miami. Come back. They need you right now more than ever, especially with Lorenzo going down. Just talk about the game. Talk about the Michigan game, and we'll get more into this. We'll start with
All
Minnesota.
right. Yeah. So I was at the game. It was quite boring, honestly. I mean, it was an expected win, and when they weren't winning, it only made it a little more boring, a little more exciting rather, but more sad. This is the right word to describe it. Yeah, no, I mean, they pulled away. Minnesota plays haram ball in terms of basketball. Just so slow. They don't ever go for offensive rebound, which I mean, playing to your strengths, I guess, or maybe playing to the other team's weaknesses. What do I know? But yeah, they're just a torture to play against, especially with the way that they had a really solid game plan going into Michigan, which maybe, I mean, other teams will probably lean on, or they should, slowing everything down, not trying to go for too much on the offensive glass, unless you're Duke and have every player above 6'8", and just and obviously chucking up threes. I mean, I think for the first 10 minutes of that game, they only put up two shots that weren't threes. So that is sort of the formula. We saw that from Wisconsin, by the way, when they beat Michigan. Same sort of style where they didn't go for any offensive boards at all. At least the first 3 quarters of the game to keep them in the game, and then towards the end they got a little more aggressive. And then we saw the same thing from Minnesota. They're just not as good. They didn't hit their shots as much. So yeah, it's that game, I guess.
Yeah, expected win. Not much to comment on there. They got business done. But I think the more telling game is the blowout they had against Illinois. I'll call it a blowout. Austin, you were talking that Illinois was rated too highly. And I think this game definitely showed that maybe they have some cracks.
Yeah, I mean, if it was Illinois and BYU in like a hypothetical match to 7 games, I don't know who would win. I mean, Illinois the past 5 years has just been like hypothetical, like the SEC in football, just way at the top. I mean, their analytics are super high, and that's why they're still a 2 seed even after losing 7 games, is because they just chuck up threes. against bad teams and get rebounds, and that just like makes their offensive efficiency like a godsend. At least in the game that I watched, Keaton Wagler cannot. I don't know why he's such a high prospect. I mean, he has some skills, but he can't beat anybody without a screen. Like if he's not getting a screen, he's not beating Yaxel, anybody off the dribble. It's just like Illinois. I mean, yeah, sure, everybody can say they could beat anybody on their best day, but deciding to go with the second Ivasic brother instead of Merez Johnson, I think, was a really poor decision by Brad Underwood, and that really showed in the game. Merez had dominated the glass. You could tell there was emotions. Jake Davis was yapping before the game, and he didn't play well either. So I know I'll let him go, but not a great performance.
Man, Illinois are so bad. Wow, they're pretty bad. To be fair to them, they did keep it pretty close against Michigan State when they played them. Kurtang getting a three from the gods saved Michigan State from losing that game at home. So there's I'd say there's three versions of Illinois. There's the Illinois that beat Northwestern by 50, and then the game right after, I believe, or the second game right after, Michigan almost lost to Northwestern. Um, there's that version of Illinois. Then there's the Illinois against Michigan State where they can keep it close, just off their 3-point shooting and their ability to rebound, but they get out physicaled, if for lack of a better phrase, on offense, which is why their offensive rating, or not offense, on defense, sorry, which is why their defensive rating and Ken Palm and every other metric is pretty low. And there's the version against the teams that they lost to, the seven teams that they lost to, including Nebraska, including Michigan, where they're just bad. Like that game, the entire first half was just feed it to Kyron Boswell. The entire second half was just feed it to Keaton Wagler. They did not use a single hint from the Michigan versus Duke game in terms of feeding the paint, trying to get the Michigan bigs to get fouls and come out of the game. The only advice they took was from Jeremy Fears and injuring players. That's the only advice they took, and Jake Davis seemed to really take that to heart with tripping LJ Cason after he made a fabulous pass, which obviously end up in tearing his ACL and being out for the season. And I was gonna come on today and speak about how happy I am with this Michigan team, how confident I am going forward, how they were able to bounce back after the close loss to Duke. Man, I can't be happy when LJ Cason is out. He was such a key player for this team these past 2, 3 weeks. And in fact, he's been a key player for the entire Big Ten season. If you really look at his contributions when he came on, Dusty May saw those contributions. That's the reason he's been playing more. And when he's been playing more, he's been producing better stats, and that's why players or teams have been seeing and talking about him, or people online at least. So him being out, I mean, who besides Trey McKenney, who hasn't played that role yet, he can. We've seen him do it against various prospects in high school. I mean, he went 1-on-1 versus Darius Acuff in the guard position when Darius Acuff was at IMG and Trey McKenney was at St. Mary's respectively. So he's shown that he can play at a high level as the primary ball handler. And even in certain games this season, especially early on when Michigan was winning by 30, 40 points, he was playing as the primary ball handler and later in
Here's
games,
the thing, Alex.
along
I'm
with
not worried
all those
about his
players.
position as a primary ball handler. I'm worried about his position as a distributor of the ball. Because as we said earlier, 5% assist rate.
Well, that's what the role of a primary ball handler
Well,
is,
no,
no,
because
Mark? I
Yaxel
mean,
can
that's
bring up the
that
ball and
that's
not be the primary distributor, the primary playmaker.
he has been at certain points of games.
He
We saw
has,
him
but
yesterday with 5 assists, maybe,
yeah, he's had to
or
take a
2 days
step up.
ago.
And I'm not saying that he can't, but there definitely has to be some improvement in his playmaking. LJ Cason going down, awful. It's just like Michigan has been. I think that's their only injury this year. So it's rough that it has to happen so late. I mean, you never want an injury to happen, but I guess if it has to, you want it sooner rather than later to see if who can fit into what role. And other than Trey McKenney, I think the only other guard on the roster, guys, is Howard Isley Jr. In terms of, primary ball handler. So I'm not saying that Howie doesn't have the talent to get it done. I'm saying he could start on any team he wanted to. He just wanted to be humble and come to Michigan. But if it comes down to it, I don't want Howard Isley to be the one that I have to rely on to give Elliot Cadeau or Trey McKinney a rest. Because Namari's not going to come in and play make. So it's kind of a really, really bad loss at a position that maybe doesn't have the depth of others.
And one thing I'll say, I'll bring up, maybe Dusty May should listen to Daily MSU and all the other MSU fans and get a mid-season transfer in Brody Robinson from the Oakland University.
He's so
Maybe that
good.
would help out
Do
the
not
team.
touch Brody Robinson. Do not
not
touch Brody Robinson. Do not touch Brody Robinson. Okay?
Yeah.
Austin, what do you think?
So
What
much
if
for,
Oakland season ends
depth.
next week, bro?
Do not touch.
Then that wouldn't.
I cannot make it more clear. Do not touch my precious Brody Robinson. He is the heart and soul of this Oakland team. Without him, they would be dead last on the horizon. Anyways,
That's why I'm saying Michigan should pay him a little more money than Oakland is, which Oakland is probably paying him nothing because what's the tuition there, Mark? You
don't
would
worry about
know.
it. A
But
lot.
yeah, but no, like genuinely going off your point, Mark. Gosh, that's a hard loss, and I know Austin brought it out earlier. You Elliot Cadeau can't see. This is all going to be irrelevant when somehow Elliot Cadeau manages to lock in and played up to his potential that he showed for his entire career, including high school. But what if that doesn't happen? Then what? There's no way we're like Duke. We saw what happened when Elliot Cadeau plays like that. We only lost by 5, so maybe there is like a
And the thing that
slight
worries me is that
benefit, not benefit.
the solution to Elliot Cadeau's inconsistent play was to put in LJ Cason. Now they don't have that
That
luxury.
didn't happen against Duke. That didn't happen against Duke, and still it was a close game. So again, if Elliot Cadeau hits an open layup, even you know what? Screw the 7 threes that he missed that game or 6 or whatever. If he hits an open layup, they're that close, and they could win that game against Duke. So it's about Elliot Cadeau stepping up, but it's not about him playing to Jeremy Fear's level, or like a Braden Smith
I'm
level.
not saying that
It's
he needs
about
to
him.
play at this level. He just
It's
needs
about
to
him playing
not
to a Trey
just
Donaldson in the tournament level.
he just
That's
needs
it.
to not be, turnover happy and think he needs to take over every game because he doesn't. There's so much talent around you. Namari can take
And
over and
that's
score
why I'm
30
saying
one night
I
if
don't
you
think
really
this
need
is
it. I agree with you.
yeah. This really isn't the end of the world. If anything, I'm more worried about next season because LJ Cason won't be playing the at least a normal Achilles tear or ACL, whatever he tore. His ACL, yeah. Normal ACL injury. He won't be playing to start next season until like January. That's what I'm worried about.
Mid-October. I think it's like 9-month recovery period. But he probably won't be playing back to the form he was now until
Well,
January. I agree with you.
it's March, so
Yeah.
it will be at least December, at least. But, like if he has a normal recovery, we might see him before conference play, maybe. So that's just concerning. I mean, Dusty hopefully can pull out a couple guys from the portal like he did last year in order to replace that production from Kaysen. But man, was I excited to see them play with him and McKenney play next season as the two guard combo. That would have been great to see. I was excited for next season. But LJ Cason's out. Hopefully, Elliot Cadeau can step it up. Maybe they take this as a his injury is a motivator for Elliot Cadeau, because he really understands now. He definitely had a bit of leeway because LJ Cason could come in. Now there's no leeway whatsoever because the leeway is Howard Isley Jr. So maybe having that extra sense of pressure or motivation or whatever, or doing it for LJ because I know they were great friends. having some sort of, emotional response to this, hopefully positive, m- will boost his performances. And we'll see. I mean, these next two games are completely, in terms of, um, position in the Big Ten, completely irrelevant for Michigan. I mean, obviously you want to win to get that number one overall seed if Duke ends up losing a
I think it
game.
is. I think they're locked in
But
number one overall because they officially won the Big Ten last game.
no, they're
Oh
number
shoot,
one
you
in the
mean in
Big
the
Ten. But
tournament?
I'm
I
saying
see
for
what
the
you mean.
tournament, for the
Yeah.
tournament.
I
Yeah,
see.
yeah. So, but I think even if they lose these two games, they're still going to be the number one not number one overall seed, but
Definitely a one seed.
one seed at the worst. Because these are obviously two
Yeah.
quad one games, so they're not going to be bad losses if they lose them. I mean, obviously, you hope they win. You hope they sweep the Spartans for the first time in forever. But again, I think if there was a time to get an injury to someone like LJ Cason in later in the season, this would, or like a scenario in which you would get an injury, this is a perfect scenario because you realistically have 2 weeks to get it sorted out and two really good scrimmages to get it sorted out.
Austin, what
Because
do you
if
think?
this,
Because I think I get your point. There's
if,
never
yeah,
a good time to have an injury, but
right,
you
but
know, Austin, let's hear because
Yeah.
we've
I
spoken on
mean,
this. I want to hear what you have to think.
yeah.
yeah, I mean it's really not a great time. I mean, sure there is like hopefully 5 games before the tournament to figure it out, with a couple of those being better competition, but I guess we can predict all we want, but we'll see it on the floor. And I think the front court can really bring them to win any game on their schedule. I mean, obviously if they play Florida, they've looked like a juggernaut recently, so who knows? But these teams with like where you can actually oppose your will on the front court, I think will be a you'll be fine. But like I mean, they play Bennett Sturts on Thursday away, so if things get dicey, it comes down to the guards. I mean, against MSU, I guess we'll just see. I mean, it really sucks because the last couple games, anytime Michigan struggled, it feels like Cason comes in and hits a three or goes and makes a crazy layup that I don't think would possibly go in from someone else. He makes those plays. I mean, obviously he threw a pass between his legs, and it's just a really unfortunate injury. But Michigan still responded after he got hurt and played somewhat well. What I think is interesting is he came back out, made a layup, seemed fine, and then all of a sudden he just dropped again. Like that's probably
Yeah, and
adrenaline.
a
He saw
tough
Adrenaline will
layup
do
Cade
at
shoot
that.
free
that, by the
throws.
way. Like it was against, he literally
It's
had
like
to body up against Ivasic and put all his weight on that foot to hit that layup.
I know
Maybe
it
that's
was
a good
crazy.
sign,
I
if
was not
anything.
expecting it.
I don't know.
You never,
Clay
maybe
Yeah,
that's a
Thompson was
I
good
able to
mean,
sign.
go in, hit 2 free throws before he went into the locker room and
Um,
missed a substantial amount of time with
Free
his
throws and
ACL.
driving at full strength against a
Yeah,
seven
but here's
footer
the
is a
thing:
little
he was
different.
skipping off the floor afterwards. He looked completely fine. You thought we were gonna see Clay Thompson right back. Hopefully, LJ doesn't have to go through whatever the heck Clay Thompson did to get back on the court, and his is smooth recovery. So, you can only hope for the best. You
yeah,
never want to see anyone get injured, even if it's an opponent. You never want to cheer for these things. So, you just kind of gotta. At this point, it's more on Dusty May to see his coaching. Are they going to play more through the front court? What are they going to do without LJ Cason? And I guess we'll find out in these next two games next week. As you said, 2 quad 1 wins, 2 great opportunities to show what they're like without LJ. Prayers up to him and his family in this process. So there's that. And then I'll move on to a team that recently also had, not quite to this magnitude, an injury in Isaac Garrett. He came back. He came back last week. Went 1 of 9 from the
What a
field.
tradition, Mark.
What happened?
What a transition, by the way. I just have to applaud you for that before you
Thank
begin.
you. I'm trying to get better. Uh, you know, Here's the thing about injuries. No matter when you come back from them, you're gonna start slow. Isaac Garrett, leading scorer for Oakland, came back last week, 1 of 9 from the field. And then, this team, as I said before, like it's flip a coin. Literally, I think there's 16 to 15. You could flip a coin and predict the outcome of any given game. IU Indy, right away, they lost to the team with the second worst half court offense by 15, or 15 plus. They come in, they play them again, and then they beat them comfortably. never out of this game. Brody Robinson, stellar performance. And then Detroit Mercy, a game you have to win to get a better seed in the tournament because you lost to IU Indy earlier in the year, or another bad loss like that. It's, you beat Mercy in Detroit, right? They come to the arena. And in the rivalry game for Oakland, you go out there and lose by 6 at home to Mercy. And sacrifice seeding in the tournament for this game. Now, granted, that doesn't mean they have to play an extra game in the Horizon League. They all play the same except for the 10 or the last 2 seeds. But it makes the rest of the draw easier. You get a lower seeded opponent, and you just make your life harder with these types of losses. And the thing with Oakland, this is the point I wanted to get to. At home, they've looked shaky at best. Like, I don't know what it is. They can go on the road and play better. They played Toledo away, and they won that game. They looked good against Purdue. They looked bad against Michigan and Houston. But, for the most part, they beat Green Bay away. They beat a lot of good teams in the Horizon away. But when they come here, when they come to the arena, it's just something, I don't know what it is. When I went on a Wednesday night, right, the fans were there. They were there. They were showing out. So I don't think it's any atmospheric, discontinuities at home. Maybe it's just that they feel that there was pressure to play. And here's the thing against Mercy. It was senior night too. So it's, all the parents were there. Maybe they were feeling some sort of pressure to put on their best performance. Fine, whatever. All I need to see from this team, go in the Horizon League tournament. Their first game is on Wednesday. And that will be a telltale sign of how the rest of the tournament will go. Because if they play poorly in that game, of course they're out. But if they play poorly and are able to make it through based on, all 8 guys who are starting because Coach Campy doesn't trust the rest of his roster. Marmouche went down early with an injury, and he was a great, piece off the bench. It's very telltale against a team like Green Bay, who they've beaten in the Horizon this year. And on my point, do not touch Brody Robinson. He is the reason this team is anywhere where they are now. And preseason, Horizon League Player of the Year, Buru Naivalura, has been playing his absolute heart out recently. So, if he continues to play like this, Brody Robinson continues to put up his routine, just absolute godly performances, get to the line, get your assist, make your threes when the clock is running down, when you can't get anything going on offense, Oakland can make it to the tournament. And here's the thing. If they make it to the tournament, they can make noise. They can make noise. And the thing with these small teams, what is it about them that causes upsets? What was it about Fairleigh Dickinson? What was it about Oakland against Kentucky that made them cause the upsets? It's their ability to hit threes. And this Oakland team has the shooters to do that. Maybe not on the same level as Jack Golke, but they have the shooters and the talent to cause an upset against any given team. Okay. That's my Oakland spiel. That's my Oakland spiel this week. And then we'll move on to, where a feeder team for Oakland talent in Kay Felder played here from Oakland in the Pistons. And, we talked about their week. We talked about who they had to go through. And I think the Magic game, as we're recording, they are playing the Magic. And they have beaten them 106-92 away from home to end their week. So, guys, I know we all watched this Spurs game. What did you think?
Like Wembanyama, that's really the main issue. Every time I saw the Pistons go to the paint, it was just they were either looking for him, besides Jalen Duren, but like everyone else, and they would go up there, it would get blocked. He had 6 blocks, I think, and it was just maybe 30 or 40 other shots that could have just been altered by him. Cade Cunningham, I think he shot pretty poorly that game. We also shot pretty poorly from 3 the entire game. But that's not a recipe for success. And, it wasn't a great game. You can definitely learn from it. I mean, it's just 1 out of 82 regular season games. But, seeing them play against full strength Wemby, who can also take down the Thunder, was pretty fun, and I think he's
God,
quite
he's a
unfair
cheat
in
code.
the
It's
NBA.
not fair. I thought 2K didn't like 2K made him too like godly. I don't think they do it justice. On defense, he's just such
Really,
a presence. These shots, the guards will go to the paint, and these are shots against, 90% of other centers that, at least have a chance of going in. Wemby just hand up verticality, doesn't even have to jump, and it affects the shot. He doesn't even have to block it. But the amount of the presence he is, thankfully they're in the West. Thankfully, Pistons don't have to go through them to get to the finals. But if both of these teams make it to the finals, it could be rough. But to be fair, Isaiah Stewart didn't play, and he is very good defensively. I don't know what he would do against Wemby, but it couldn't hurt.
take him out. You would take him out
Good.
one way or another. That's all. That's all I'll say. If it's a 1-for-1 trade, I'd do it.
I
But
don't
I
disagree.
digress.
I don't disagree. In the thing, here's the thing: these other two games against the Thunder and the Cavs, they won, but did they really win? Like, this is against the Thunder, who are missing literally their entire starting five, and they were down early in this game, and they had to come back and eke out an 8-point win in what was still a very alive game against the OKC backups, where Jalen Williams put up 30 plus. So I don't know if it shows that OKC is just that deep, or if to be fair, it was the second half of a back-to-back for the Pistons, so they do have that grace. But it's still it's not comforting to see them not beat that team by a lot more.
Right. J- both those games. I mean, it
Both
was
those games, yeah.
really weak. It was just really teams that the Cavs put out and then the OKC Thunder put out, just like shadows of their real selves. Um, but then yet again, I'm gonna take another perspective on this. It's OKC and Cleveland. OKC is first in the West. Cleveland is fourth in the East, and the Pistons won both those games.
Yeah, but here's the thing, right?
It's the
Cleveland,
NBA. Like
Cleveland,
you
very real possibility that the Pistons have to go through them to make it further in the East. They were without James Harden,
right?
And here's the silver lining of this game is that they found a way to win this game without Cade, and that's because Dennis Jenkins threw up a Hail Mary half-court shot and got fouled on it, and he made all three of his free throws. Now, I don't know if Dennis Jenkins is literally just the smartest guy in the court, but he did play. He played well when he was given his chance for Cade, and I think whatever contract he got was just a steal for 2 years. Was it what, 8 million? Like some just money like that for really, really good backup minutes. Like I feel confident when Cade goes out that Dennis Jenkins can put up, similar performance. I even think that Dennis Jenkins is more of a shoot first player than Cade. Like he could get he's not scared to attack the basket and get a bucket when the going team's tough. But here's just one more thing I'd like to comment on. Overtime. Cade fouled out. Sure, whatever. Duncan Robinson fouls out. Right. So we have Dennis Jenkins on the floor. Who does Coach JB Bickerstaff go to? He looks at his bench, right? He needs a shooting guard. Who does he go to on his bench to put in this game? Obviously, you would think, right? I would love to have Jaden Ivey in this scenario. But, I have to settle with Kevin Huerter. No. He went Marcus Sasser. He looked at his bench. He saw Kevin Huerter. He said, sit down. I don't need you. You suck. You've proven that you suck. So I'm going to take a chance on Marcus Sasser, who went in there and sucked. Like, he almost legitimately threw that game away for the Pistons. Whatever. This trade is looking worse and worse every single time the Pistons play. Because you don't even get to see Kevin Huerter touch the court. And it's not even, okay, you traded away Jaden Ivey, and was it the pick swap that was so enticing? I get that Jaden Ivey's not the same player. But, like, what? Does it turn into 2 seconds? Like, Kevin Herter's
Yeah.
done nothing. He will continue to do nothing. And JB Bickerstaff knows because he looks at him, skips over him, and goes Marcus Sasser, a young player who goes in there and almost chokes instead of the veteran shooting guard who they need and would be the natural replacement for Duncan Robinson fouling out at this point.
I mean, we could have got Jared McCain for a bag of chips, and he was just playing amazing the other day. So, not even against the Pistons, just the last game they played. And now
And
we have a
Luke
guy who doesn't
Kennard.
play at all.
Luke Kennard for a
Luke
bag of
Kennard
chips
shoots
too.
almost 50%.
Yes.
For a 50% shooter, yeah.
Oh, we got Kevin Herter. Oh,
Kevin Herter, this is a message. Play better. You suck. Honestly, I don't know what you're doing in practice. I don't know if you're calling JB slurs or something, but if you don't get your act together, bro, like, what else could it possibly be? I'm genuinely curious. Why is he not getting playing time? Especially in that moment. Am I wrong to think Duncan Robinson's out? Cade is out. Who is the shooting guard that's going to come in and play those minutes? Who is it?
Karis LeVert.
He was probably injured or something. Again, Karis LeVert.
It's Karis LeVert or Marcus Sasser, and not no, that's embarrassing. Having that, that's a horrible trade. What we were talking about this a month ago at this point when the trade happened, and we were hopeful. Although it was a bad, I thought we were had our doubts about the trade. We were hopeful that Kyle Korver would come in, raise that 3-point shooting percentage a little higher, maybe just a sliver from like the 20% that they shoot. Well, obviously, that's an exaggeration, but still, we're second worst shooting team in the league. And he hasn't played at all. Not no minutes, zero,
No
nada.
meaningful
Even the
minutes.
blowout games,
Not a
he's
single meaningful
he played today. I know
minute.
we were
No,
filming this
he didn't play
podcast during the
today.
end of the game. Did
0
not.
minutes.
Here's the thing. Let
So
me tell you
to be
about Karis
fair,
LeVert,
the Bulls got
right
the
against
Bulls got nothing from the trade either. The Bulls got nothing from the trade either. To be fair to them, okay, because Jaden Ivey is probably quitting the sport of basketball. So you have with all due respect, maybe it was not a bad trade. Maybe it's an even trade, okay? But if there is such a thing as a lose-lose trade, this is a lose-lose trade, okay?
the Bulls
It's
had
fair.
zero
Doesn't mean
reason
it's
to
good.
make this trade, and then go out and get Anthony Simons and Rob Dillingham. Like they're just burying Jaden Ivey. You have zero reason to make this trade if you're the Bulls. But they got a good thing
Maybe
going
the
over
Pistons
there.
knew it.
Play-in teams might start getting in the lottery, and maybe that's what they're hoping for. They're hoping, all right, we can push for the playoffs and just continue to be a good team. They're probably looking at Sacramento and say, yeah, I still wish we had Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan on this team. Whatever. Chicago's been messed up since Derrick Rose went down. Like, they legitimately have not done anything since then. Legitimately on the same level of Pistons of poverty. Maybe even more so.
Last good player on their team I remember is Joakim Noah.
Jimmy Butler, bro. Come on. Like, put some respect on him.
No, because when I think of Jimmy Butler, I think of Miami Heat. Okay,
All right, bro.
literally,
Yeah.
and maybe Josh Giddey, the man himself, is the only other player I can think of, and you know what happened with him. So, let's not delve into that. But again, Bulls are getting nothing from this trade. Maybe the Pistons knew that something was up because there's no other explanation. I'd credit Langdon if he knew that Ivy was gonna have this whole fit and quit the sport essentially. But I mean, do you think that happened? I don't know. I have no words to describe that trade. It hasn't helped us in the slightest bit, and the one concern now is shooting, and that could have been fixed during the trade deadline.
And you know what?
Nope.
Ivy wasn't even shooting
That's fine.
bad, and he was getting minutes. Like, I would rather
Yeah, if
have not
anything, it
traded
made it
Jaden
worse.
Ivey
If anything, it
than
made it
have
worse.
Karis LeVert, yeah, no, I would rather not have Karis LeVert throwing up 2 or 3 terroristic shots. I pulled up his box score for the Cleveland game. He put up cardio, 17 minutes, 1 point, 1 shot that he missed, and a -4 plus minus. So, Mr. Langdon, if you can identify just a shooting guard to come in and play meaningful minutes off the bench and then not trade them for a bag of chips, please, please do that. I think Malik Beasley was supposed to be that guy until he got caught up in some, Shohei Ohtani business. But, I guess you can't, the gambling really, really has to happen when you're a multi-millionaire in the NBA.
Hey, Mark, just take a guess at how bad the Pistons shot today from 3 percentage-wise.
Oh, my God. How many minutes did Karis LeVert get? That's what
Quite
my
a
guess
bit.
is
He took
based
10
off of.
shots.
I'm going to say definitely under 20%. Last time I
They
checked,
shot
he was 0 of 4 from 3.
they shot 4 for 30, so about 13%.
Kevin Huerter! Where are you? What are you doing? Kevin Huerter, you suck! I guarantee you got 0 minutes in this game. You're one thing, right? We needed shooting. You're here. Sit in the corner, get the ball, make the shot. And he's not even playing. And they went 4 of 30. They still won that game.
They still won. They
That's
still
the
won.
most
They still won by
impressive part.
14.
4 of 30.
This is a team they're probably going to be playing in the first round of the playoffs. By the way, or either them or like the Bucks maybe, or a team like that. Regardless, Cade, I know before we started the episode today, you're gonna argue that Cade should be the MVP or deserves to be the MVP. I just like to remind you that he went 2 for 9 from 3 this game, and that Cade shoots 45% from like true field goal percentage, and he averages 20 field goals a game and 25 points a game. So
here's what I'm gonna say.
if you want to argue that after
here's what I'm
his
gonna
performance
say, right?
today,
Cade Cunningham is not the most valuable player in the league this year. However, the 65 game rule has stated that you need to play 65 games. It is literally in the name. The players who have been better than him this year, Jokic, he missed a substantial amount of time. Shea, I think he's 2 or 3 games away from not being able to qualify. And he's still, I don't know if there's a timetable on his abdomen injury. And then, other guys have missed a substantial amount of time. Wemby's definitely off the list as well. I think he's 1 game away from, not being in consideration with still a decent bit of time left. So Cade Parker Cunningham will be your MVP for the 2025-2026 season. And it will be the first participation MVP in NBA history, which makes you question. I'm not saying Cade is a bad player in any right. I'm just saying that he is not the most valuable player in the league this year. If next year and the year after, he will take his jump, and he will definitely be in a real consideration for this. But do you think the NBA looks at a situation like this and thinks, man, we might have to change the rules because we don't want someone winning it off participation?
I'll say is one thing. Cade Cunningham might have had an argument for being the MVP, the legitimate deserved MVP, if the Pistons had a shooting guard.
Oh yeah,
that can make shots
Duncan
and take some
Robinson. Here's
pressure
the thing: Duncan Robinson, great in his role. Find another guy who can do the same thing. It would have been great. That's what Kevin Huerter should have been. Sorry, I hate.
Wait. I'll just you know how many points he had today, Duncan Robinson, Mark?
I don't know. They went 4 of 30
Yes.
from 3, so I'm gonna guess like a whole 3 points from the line.
0.
Ooh, what did he shoot?
0. 0 for 4.
At least he missed 4 shots and said, "Yeah, I'm done." Other guys like Karis LeVert will miss 6 shots or take 10 shots, go 40% from the field and say, yeah, I got that green light, JB. Give me the ball. I'm going to huck up my terroristic shots. I'm going to get mine. I'm going to get mine. Anyway, please
You know how many
continue your
points
point.
Karis LeVert had today?
Probably like 12. No, 8.
Not 0. 8.
Yeah.
But he was 0 for 4 from 3, so I guess fair. Man, it's gonna be tough to
I don't
watch
know.
these next couple of games.
It's gonna be tough to watch the playoffs unless they change the shooting. I mean, they could probably beat the 8 seed, but
If it's the Bucks, then probably not. I mean, Bucks with Giannis.
yeah,
With Cam Thomas, bro.
That's quite
Yeah,
scary.
there's also rumors that Tatum's coming back too. Tatum was like probable this week, so
Tyrese is coming back, although he has shingles, so who knows? But
Tyrese is not our concern this year. Tyrese is not in the conversation at
dude,
all.
just
on my
saying
radar.
that bottom of the Eastern Conference is tight by 15 games. Yeah, no, Pacers suck. Just joking. Still though, we were also brought up the point that we should be concerned about shooting. The Pistons shooting 3-4 weeks ago, and it's really come to fruition these past couple of weeks. They had that one good shooting night, I believe it was against the Knicks, if I'm not mistaken, and then after that, it's been straight brick after clink after clink, and man, it's gonna be rough.
If I'm a
Yeah.
Pistons fan at this point in the year, who is it that you need to see more out of in terms of 3-point shooting? Because, I think we've seen that Cade
Cade.
is, a mid-30s% 3-point shooter. Duncan Robinson has been, the
Less than that,
sole savior of this 3-point percentage. Asar can't shoot to save his life. Tobias Harris, he can spot up in the corner and make some threes, but, again, another mid-30 shooter. And Jalen Duren shouldn't touch the outside of the paint. So, I'm not saying... Here's the thing even. Jalen Duren has been playing his heart out ever since he swung on Moussa Diabate. Literally, since he's come back, he has been playing the best I've seen Jalen Duren play. Averaging a smooth double-double. He had 33 against the Cavs. What did he have against the Magic? Hold on 1 second. That game just ended. He had a smooth 16-10 on 50% shooting. So, highest plus or minus on the team. I honestly think Jalen Duren has been the best player since the All-Star break. Not even Cade. It has definitely been Jalen Duren, at least most consistent. And I think what we're missing the most is Isaiah Stewart can legitimately step outside and be a threat from 3 for at least 1 or 2 shots a game. Like, you have to respect it. You have to step up on it. And he can make them. He can genuinely make them. So, I think we have one more game until he's allowed to come back. But, if the shooting doesn't get better after he comes back, I am legitimately worried for the future of the Pistons, at least in this year.
yeah.
Yep.
Like,
Cade, by the way, with 5 turnovers today. Another point that I think we should bring up because he's been, I think he's second or third in turnovers out of all players in the NBA this season.
and listen, we're not even
Obviously,
Cade
he
haters.
gets the ball a lot.
Cade is my favorite player in the NBA. Cade is my favorite player right now, but I'm saying that he is not the most valuable player in the league, as the award states. There's no hate or any shade thrown to Cade, right? But as a voter, and my only option is Cade Cunningham, or who else actually is in the race if, the top guys are out. Like, I'm legit, like, Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I would easily take Cade
Uh,
over Jaylen Brown in terms of other
I
production.
think one thing that I really, and we all as Detroit sports fans love about him, is that he'd be the first to agree with us that he's been underperforming, that he's been shooting poorly, that he's been turning the ball over too much to be the focal point of our team, and that's both his fault and the fault of our of our coaching staff and our board and our front office because besides him and Duran's obviously strictly center in the paint player. So really, besides him, we don't have any other scoring options at all. And what happens when he's having a bad night? I mean, this is we can go back to college basketball. What happens if a Jeremy Fears has a bad night? What happens if an Elliot Cadeau has a bad night? You know, if you have a the primary scorer and ball handler not have a good night, that's a L. All right, and this is, I think, extremely like relevant to the Pistons in this situation because they generally do not have a backup. I mean, that their backup is a G League player in Dennis Jenkins. So say what you want to say, but
Don't diss on
something needs to
Jenkins.
change.
Dennis Jenkins has legitimately been the best player off the bench. Like if this team didn't have Dennis Jenkins,
For
I literally don't know.
for his contract value, sure, but
I'm not even saying for his contract value.
I think he's actually, since he signed the contract, he's shooting in the 20s and in the teens
okay,
from
well,
3-point. So maybe he's a bag chaser. I don't know. But he obviously made a heroic play against the Cavs. But even
Can you
today,
guys
he
just
shot
be
1 for 6.
optimistic about the Pistons and say that when Isaiah Stewart comes back, they will make all their threes and they will win the title? Just say that.
we'll
And,
see. We'll see.
all right, I also looked up the MVP odds because I was curious. So Shea is top, and he needs to miss 7 more games. So he might genuinely have
That's
a
a lot
shot
of
with
games.
23 remaining. Jokic can only miss 1 more. Wemby can miss 4. Luka can miss 5, and Jaylen Brown he's had the same amount of games missed as Cade. So I do think that Shea, will play enough to get this award. You know,
Jokic will also play enough because there's a reason why he came back a specific game. I'll just point that out. He needs he needed to spend time with his horses, but then obviously came back to win the MVP. So going back to the point about participation award, maybe the NBA won't have to change the rules. Um,
I
if
definitely think
anything, it
they'll
encourages the
look at
players to
it
play
and
more.
adjust it because I'm not saying Cade is a bad player in any right, and I want to stress that so much. Cade Parker Cunningham, second time I'm dropping the middle name, has my heart. I have 3 jerseys, and I will wear them, every time I go see the Pistons. But he has just not been the most valuable player this year. End statement.
I mean, Shea has played pretty well. So, and he's playing right now. So he had 36 the other day, and he's already at 25, a little bit through halftime today. So surely doesn't miss 7 games with only like 20 left to go.
Yeah, sure. I think he's gonna win. It's just something to think about that it could legitimately be a participation trophy. And
And
then
the
in another
Pistons
year,
really shoot like these teams, like the Thunder, and the Nuggets, the Spurs, just straight snipers from outside.
hold on.
So
You're telling me, all right, let's reevaluate Jaden Ivey. You're telling me that I could have gotten Luke Kennard or Jared McCain for Jaden Ivey, even if I had to give up a pick. Like, here's the thing, I would have wanted either of those guys infinitesimally more than the 31% from 3 that Kevin Huerter has provided this year. That's all I'm going to say. That is what I'm going to leave it at. Until Kevin Huerter shows me something, you, Kevin Huerter, are the most hated player in Detroit at the current moment.
Great way to end it, Mark.
And, that is a good note to end it on. A very positive note that Tangen freaking Langdon, Mr. Langdon, sorry, I don't know how to say his first name properly. He needs to do something about this backup shooting guard position. And, maybe they sign Mac McClung. I genuinely wouldn't be opposed. Anyways, that's all we have for this episode. Let us know what else you'd like to see. Make sure to follow all our socials. They're on the screens. You've seen them throughout the whole episode, so hopefully you went and followed. New episodes come out Sundays, and hopefully you enjoy this episode. Again, let us know what you liked. Please comment, subscribe, and yeah, until next week.